In the previous few videos, we discussed the methods of finding the initial basic feasible solution to a balanced transportation problem, and we saw the northwest corner method, the least cost method, and the Vogel's approximation method. Now, having found a basic feasible solution, the next step in a transportation problem is to check whether the obtained solution is an optimal one. And if it is not, then we need to find the optimal solution. So now we'll discuss the methods to check if the basic feasible solution is an optimal one, and if it is not, then how to find the optimal solution. The two popular methods of doing the same are the stepping stone method and the modified distribution method. In this video, we'll be discussing the stepping stone method. We'll continue with the same example that was used in the previous videos. Using the northwest corner method, we had obtained this solution. By least cost method, we had obtained this solution, and we got the same solution using the Vogel's approximation method. Now, before checking the solution for its optimality, it should be ensured that the solution is a basic feasible solution. That is, it should satisfy the rim conditions, the non-negativity constraint. There should be exactly n plus n minus 1 allocations, and those allocations should be in independent positions. So we can start with any basic feasible solution which satisfies these conditions. We found that the solutions obtained using the three methods satisfied all the conditions for a basic feasible solution. In this video, we'll be doing the optimality check on this solution. Now, in stepping stone method, we try to evaluate the effect of making an allocation in each of the empty cells. Like in this example, we have 6 allocations and there are 6 empty cells. So we try to find out what is the effect of making an allocation, let's suppose in this cell, on the total transportation cost. And similarly, the effect of making an allocation in each of these cells is evaluated. Let's now understand how this is done. First, we write down +1 in this cell, meaning that we are going to be looking at allocations made in this cell. Now, if we are allocating +1 unit in this cell, obviously the rim conditions are going to get violated. So we need to adjust the other allocations accordingly such that the rim conditions and the non-negativity conditions are satisfied. To do so, we need to identify a loop which includes this cell. So we identify a loop which includes the cell where we are going to make an allocation. So let's understand how this loop helps in adjusting the allocations. So we are allocating 1 unit to this cell. So we need to reduce this allocation by 1 so that the first source condition is satisfied. Now if we have removed 1 unit from this cell, we need to add 1 unit to this cell so that this destination requirement is satisfied. And once again, if we have added 1 unit to this cell, we need to remove 1 unit from this cell so that this source condition is also satisfied. And automatically we can identify that this destination requirement is also satisfied. So the effect that has taken place is that now we will have 1 unit in this cell, 59 units in this cell, 6 units in this cell, and 44 units in this cell. We need not specifically write down the new allocations, but then this is how the allocations have been adjusted so that a new allocation can come into picture. Now, having adjusted the allocations, we now find out what is the effect of these changes. It is clear that since the allocations have been adjusted, the total transportation cost is going to change. So we try to find out how much that transportation cost is going to change by. So as compared to the previous solution, we will have 1 unit which will be transported at the rate of 5. So there will be a change of +5. Now in the previous solution, 60 units were being transported at the rate of 4. But now we'll have 1 less unit which will be transported at that rate. So because of this change, the transportation cost will come down by 4. So we'll have a -4. Similarly, in the previous solution, we are transporting 5 units at the rate of 9. But that is changed now to 6. So we have 1 more unit which will be transported at the rate of 9. So the cost will go up by 9. And finally, in the previous solution, we had 45 units which will be transported at the rate of 6. But now we have 1 less. So the transportation cost will come down by 6. So the total change because of all these changes in allocations can be now obtained, and it will be equal to, so this is 5 plus 9 which is 14 minus 10. So the total change is 4. So this means that for every unit that is allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will go up by 4. So since allocation to this cell means an increase in the total transportation cost, it is not beneficial to add any units to this cell. So we can prepare a small table where we can list down all the changes. So first is variable. So this variable is position 11. So this is x11. The cell is nothing but this is source A and destination P. So we can write it down as AP. And the change in total cost per unit allocation, so that we found out is 4. So that is +4. This is an increase. So this is what we are going to do for all the empty cells in this solution. So now we'll try to evaluate what is the effect of making an allocation in this cell. To do that, we write down +1 over here. Once again, we have to adjust the other allocations so that the rim conditions and the non-negativity constraint are satisfied. To do that, we have to identify a loop which includes this cell. So this is a loop. Since we are allocating 1 unit to this cell, to have the first source condition satisfied, we need to reduce this allocation by 1. Now if we reduce this allocation by 1, this allocation should increase by 1 so that this destination requirement is met. And if this is increased by 1, this allocation should reduce by 1 so that this source condition is satisfied. And automatically we can find out that this destination requirement is met. So in simple terms, what we are doing is we are just adding and subtracting 1 units alternately as we move along the loop. This ensures that the rim conditions and the non-negativity constraint are satisfied. Now the change in total transportation cost because of this allocation can be obtained as follows. So we have 1 unit added at the rate of 7, so that is plus 7. 1 unit reduced at the rate of 4, so that will be minus 4. 1 unit added at the rate of 9, so that is plus 9. 1 unit reduced at the rate of 3, so that is minus 3. So the total change is 7 plus 9 is 16, minus 7, so that is 9. So for every unit that is allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will go up by 9. We'll note the same in this table. This is variable x12 and the cell is source A to destination Q. So we have x12, source A to destination Q, and the total change was plus 9. The next empty cell is this. So we add 1 unit to this cell. Once again, we need to identify a loop which includes this cell. That loop is this. So we do minus 1 over here, plus 1 over here, and minus 1 over here. You can verify that these adjustments ensure that the rim conditions and the non-negativity condition are satisfied. Now the change in total transportation cost due to this allocation will be, we have 1 unit added at the rate of 2, so that is plus 2. 1 unit reduced at the rate of 4, that is minus 4. 1 unit added at the rate of 9, so that is plus 9. And 1 unit reduced at the rate of 1, so that is minus 1. So the total change is 2 plus 9 is 11 minus 5, so this is 6. So this is variable x13. The cell is source A to destination R and the change is plus 6. So we write that down over here. So we can observe that in these 3 cells, if we allocate any unit, the total transportation cost is increasing. So far we have not come across any cell when making an allocation would result in decrease in total transportation cost. There are still 3 cells remaining, so let's check them one by one. So look at this cell now. We'll add 1 unit to this cell. This is a loop which includes the cell. So we'll do minus 1, plus 1 and minus 1. So the change in total transportation cost will be, we have 1 unit added at the rate of 3, so that is 3. 1 unit reduced at the rate of 1, so that is minus 1. 1 unit added at the rate of 3, so that is plus 3 again. And 1 unit reduced at the rate of 6, so that is minus 6. So the total change is, we have 3 plus 3 6, minus 6 is 0 and minus 1, so minus 1. So here what we find out is, for every unit that gets allocated to this cell, the total transportation cost will come down by 1. So it is beneficial to add units to this cell. There are still 2 more cells left for evaluation, and it could happen that in one of these cells we can have a greater decrease than 1. So in stepping stone method, we do not stop once a negative value for the change in transportation cost is obtained. The evaluation is done for all the cells that are empty, and then a decision is made based on which cell gives the maximum reduction in total transportation cost. Now this is variable x21. The cell is source B to destination P, and we have got the total changes minus 1. So we write that down over here. Now we look at this cell. We add plus 1 to this. This is a loop. So this is minus 1, plus 1, minus 1. And the change in total transportation cost will be, we have 1 unit added at the rate of 8. So that will be plus 8. 1 unit reduced at the rate of 1. So that is minus 1. 1 unit added at the rate of 3. So that is plus 3. And 1 unit reduced at the rate of 1. So that is minus 1. So this is 8 plus 3, 11, minus 2, 9. So the total change is 9. The variable is x23 and the cell is source B to destination R. We note the same over here. And this is the last cell which is remaining. So we add plus 1 over here. This is a loop. So minus 1, plus 1 and minus 1. And the change in total transportation cost will be, so this is plus 2, minus 9, plus 3, minus 1. So this is 2 plus 3 is 5, minus 10, so that is minus 5. So for every unit that is allocated to this cell, we get a change in total transportation cost of minus 5. that is, the cost comes down by phi. This is variable x24. The cell is source B to destination S and the change is minus phi. So this is a summary of the change in total transportation cost for a unit allocation that is made in different cells. So here we see that for every unit that is allocated to this cell, we have a change in total transportation cost of minus phi. That is, the total transportation cost will come down by phi. So it is beneficial to add as many units as possible to this cell. There is another cell where we have got a negative value for the change in total cost. But since the reduction with this cell is more, we go for this cell. So we find that it is beneficial to add as many units as possible to this cell. Let's now find out how many units can be added to this cell such that the solution still remains feasible, that is, the rim conditions and the non-negativity conditions are satisfied. So let's suppose we add theta units to this cell. And this is a loop that we had identified. Now this is theta, so this will be minus theta, plus theta and minus theta. We want maximum possible value of theta. Now as theta increases, these two values will go on decreasing. So which is the first one to reach 0? So quite clearly this will be the first one to reach 0 when theta reaches the value of phi. So the maximum value that theta can take is phi, beyond which this allocation will begin to become negative. So we conclude that the maximum units that can be allocated to this cell will be phi, and correspondingly these allocations are changed. So let's find out the new solution. So we add 5 units to this cell. So this will be phi. This will become 0. So there will be no allocations in this cell. This will become 5 plus phi equal to 10. So this cell will have 10. And this will become 75 minus phi, that is 70. So we have 70 over here. And we see that these allocations remain unchanged. So we have 60, 45 and 35 as it is. So 60, 45 and 35 as it is. So this is a new solution that we obtained which should reduce the total transportation cost. Let's quickly verify that this is a feasible solution. So we have for the first source 60, for the second source 75, for the third source we have 45 plus 10 plus 35, that is 90. For the first destination we have 45, second destination we have 80, third destination 35 and fourth destination 65. So all the rim conditions are satisfied, and as you can see the non-negativity condition is also satisfied. So this is a feasible solution. The total transportation cost can be obtained now. So that is Z equal to 60 into 4 plus 70 into 1 plus 5 into 2, and similarly this comes to 655, and let's say this is rupees. So we get the total transportation cost is rupees 655. And for the solution with which we started, that is the solution which was obtained using the least cost method or the Vogel's approximation method, it got the total transportation cost was rupees 680. So we see that the total transportation cost has come down as expected. And if we see, the difference is 680 minus 655, which is rupees 25, which can be understood as follows. So we added 5 units to this cell. And for every unit added to that cell, the total transportation cost should have come down by 5 rupees. So the total transportation cost came down by 5 into 5, that is 25 rupees. So this is the next feasible solution which we have obtained using the stepping stone method, which has a total transportation cost of rupees 655. We can also list down the allocations for this. So these are the allocations. So having obtained this solution, we once again check if this is the optimal one, and if it is not, we further try to improve the solution. It can be understood whether a given solution is optimal or not by looking at this table. So when we are doing the optimality check, we found out that for 2 cells, we had a reduction in the total transportation cost for every unit allocation. So if all of these values would have turned out to be positive, it would have meant that the total transportation cost cannot be reduced. So we can say that the solution is an optimal solution if all these costs turn out to be positive. If any of them turns out to be 0, then once again the total transportation cost cannot be improved or reduced, but then we have another alternate solution which gives the optimum transportation cost. It means that it is a condition of alternate optimum, and if any of these values are negative, it means that the total transportation cost can be reduced, and then the new solution is obtained as discussed in this video.